All right, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Morning Hash here on Leading Crypto. We're your host, CBO and Magic Internet Money, coming to you on a beautiful hump day here. It's a nice 86 degrees in Fort Myers, and I imagine a crisp 31.5 degrees, just enough to put the V-necks away over there in Kansas City. I made sure to put my V-neck on today, so we didn't match.
Not deep enough, bro. That's not a V-neck. That's a V-neck for babies, maybe. Get that thing down there. Yeah.
It's when the market's pumping, the V-neck starts coming up after, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Magic, how you doing today, sir?
Doing good, man. Up early, just got done with the New York session live stream with the guys in the group. So if you're in there, you already saw it. It's in the live recordings. We did Asia last night as well. And price is doing what we kind of expect.
Exactly. Perfect. So if you haven't been following along this week, first off, we do these live streams every single day, Monday through Friday now, 10 a.m. Eastern. Last couple of days, we've been covering, essentially, we started off with our S&P 500 analysis, and we're pretty much going to continue with that, regimen today. So Magic, if you want to pull that up, we'll get started with S&P.
Yeah, we can do that. Let me get that going. So S&P, pretty simple, guys. We're talking about this Q4 level statistical target, may just blow through it. In reality, looking up to this gold pocket right here, okay, local gold pocket. You have another one that's above it, but we won't get to that one until later. And really looking at this 24M level, that 39.23 as being kind of the gatekeeper to see if we can get a real rally going. Again, trend is down, right? But that doesn't mean we can't have some fun in between. But this would just be a continuation of that trend. It's been a pretty steady trend, and we'd be expecting to come up here and then that 39.23 level. Can we break that trend? More importantly, though, I touched on this a little bit on Debate Crypto a while back, and I've touched on it in our members live streams, but I am going to touch on it here. Is not just the ranges and things like that, all very important, right? We had this support mapped out. We obviously had a nice potential harmonic. I have it underneath fun. So if you were following Debate Crypto, I showed this one. It would tell you that the B leg and the X leg are your targets here. So X and B. And that's where you get this little box. That's where this is coming from, basically. So you're just seeing that here. You're looking harmonic-wise to get all the way up to around 41.14 to like 41.37. So a fairly decent bounce out of this before, we have to make a decision. Are we, reversing off the lows? Is this an overall low? And I'll show you what I mean by that. If you look at this in terms of a monthly chart, the quarter one low at 41.14 on the S&P 500 has just been the low. This was your monthly candles, right? And you can see that you're just failing to get in this range, including a back test here back in September. So coming all the way back up to this level, matching up with that harmonic target we were just talking about, right here. That's where things start to look a little bit interesting. Because if you can get back inside of this range, what's to stop you from potentially coming up and filling out the 12M here, but also just your profile range right here, which would be pretty much putting you all the way back at like close to all-time highs at that point. So 41.14 to 41.37, being the mathematical, or not mathematical, the target from the harmonic. Also just letting you know where's my range inflection point from a structure standpoint. If you're just looking at this, you're going to want to see things lining up. You want to see Fed pivoting. You want to see things going well. And if that's the case, then, there's no reason to suspect otherwise. Bitcoin coming up with the markets. It looks like we had a slight sell down initially, but opening up pretty strong after that. That's always good to see. Moving over to Bitcoin. You can see we've got these targets here. Local gold pocket. The Q4 was just tapped. Beautiful. And that is going to be a pretty major area. So again, anytime you've been above this area right here, this has been the path to the top of the range. So at a minimum, you've been looking at 22,500 almost every single time, which is, again, another one of those hand-worked pivots. The key level there is, I believe, 407. It's a 6M1 from 21, if I recall, right here. And you can see that's been pretty important as support and resistance. And now it is lining up with the value area high. And if we work up a little bit more fib work just to see, Is it relevant on our fibs? It most certainly is. It's our high to low gold pocket. So I would be looking for that if we clear this box. I mean, there's no reason not to think that we won't. Every time we have in the past, we've cleared this. Yesterday took 3 wins, 1 L. The 1 L was right out the gate. So that's always fun, but made up for it. The weekly open here, about 560. That was, once you got above that, it was just like, we were looking for the 1-to-1 at 20,173. Really nice scalp trade off of that level. Then you're looking up to this local swing failure pattern, right? Just kind of an intermediate. I called it a pit stop before we make a move to, move that alert. We make a move into this box, which we did get the pit stop here. You can see consolidation underneath it and then a push. And then last night's live stream, we were talking about it, that in reality, you're looking at immediate continuation if the trend is going to continue because of the way this move made its way up, just locally from a range and volume standpoint. So you had to see continuation yesterday and today, because had it reversed, you would have seen some issues. But it didn't. It didn't even come close to reversing. The first warning shot would have been like 19.9. But you didn't even, I think you came down to like 20,130 or something like that. So not even close. And yeah, now you're coming into the gold pocket and we'll see what we get. One of the members of the group watching a really nice harmonic. I'll give him a little shout out there, T-Bone. We were talking about this. Yeah, T-Bone loves his harmonics. Got him hooked on the crack there. He's got a really nice butterfly potentially here. So that would be a really nice trade. As always, you guys know how we like to do harmonics here. It would be something like this if that was the high, right? And you'd be looking to play that projection down. But in reality, the target on something like this would just be the B leg, which is like 19,960. So again, nothing is broken. You're hanging on to this support right here, right? So you'd be looking at this as, support. And why do harmonics, why are they so important for us? What do they do for us? More importantly, is it's identifying the inflection points of this range. So you've now got range expansion. You're coming into a potential of a 1,272, which is pretty close, and a 16182 2-spot expansion on D, meaning that this is expanded quite a bit. So a pullback is completely in the cards. The question is, where does that pullback become more than a pullback? And you can see right here that if you were to lose this B leg, this little support box between 19,940, 19,806, yeah, you'd probably be looking all the way back down to like 19.1. So very important. It hangs on to that. It may not even achieve this in a very bullish environment. Sometimes things, underperform as far as bearish targets go. So we'll see exactly how bullish price is here today, probably, because if it gets a solid rejection here, we could be looking down, 20,401, then back down. I think at that point, you just start pulling up your local ranges more than likely, just to see what's going on, right? And yeah, you can see that's your monthly value area high. If you lose that, excuse me, sorry, I had to swallow some air wrong there. You lose that, you lose this support that we just identified from a structural standpoint and a pattern standpoint, then yeah, you're going to be looking down to, it already shows you 19,150 weekly POC right around 19,300-ish. So it will be important for price, even if it pulls back here, to consolidate above this level in between these zones and go. If it gets above this level though, again, you're looking straight up. One of the entries we had earlier today was off of the order flow, right? So we were actually watching this pretty carefully here at the daily val. It came back into the previous day high. Daily val was just beneath and gave a nice little bounce. The entry wasn't really perfect, but it did start to give some entries right around 20,335, I believe it was over here. So if you were come over here and take a look, you can see that you've got a lot of negative delta into support, right? And then right about here, you can see that you've got a nice candle here. This is the volume chart for anyone that's paying attention. 28, 40%, 9,900, 94%. So you can see strength is coming in. At a minimum, you're looking to close out the London session in POC and the daily point of control at 19,650 and see if you can't push to those, gold pocket targets, which you've done. So getting a pullback off that level now, you can see OI is flat up here, negative delta into the highs, a little positive, and then about right here, you can see it's coming in very quickly. But not a lot of OI coming in on this. So this may just be a temporary move down. So we'll see what we get. If you get below 20,767, you get that $100 move down to the daily point of control. And then what does our session look like on this? Session supports it as well. Let's close out that NPOC. And look at that, man. This is the beauty of my forks, dude. I'm gonna jock my own shit a little bit here, because not only did it catch the exact top here on this move up, it's catching it again right here. So this is a trend-based fork for me. So all I'm looking to do is looking for that one piece of outlier data for me, and then comparing it with standard deviation information, and I'm just projecting out where resistance is going to be. Now, if you get above this, you're trending pretty hard. That happens. So you do have to keep that in mind. But that's all I've got. Previous day trend was very good. This is another tool that we use. Previous day trend, very, very good, catching the low pretty well. But yeah, that's all I've got, man. You're right at resistance. This isn't a place to be opening any longs. In fact, this would be a place to be considering taking profits, or even looking for a head short, as this is a major, major inflection point in the market right here. See, that's all I've got. I'm not watching the chat, so you have to let me know if there's any questions or comments that I need to address.
Beautiful. No, there's nothing crazy. Man, nothing better than getting forked by Magic. I just got to point that out. There's a couple things in life that just are a true luxury.
It's up there on your bucket list, isn't it?
It is. It is,
December, bro.
All right, let's take a look at some alts. All right, so Ethereum. This is the old range from last year that I've spent a lot of time kind of covering a little bit. This isn't the main one we've been paying attention to, but I do want to just point out that as we're coming into some of those major resistances on Bitcoin, you can see that we're coming into range high on Ethereum as well. Obviously, if you looked at everything across the board, we're pretty gassed on RSI. You're sitting at like 83 on the 4 hour, right? So anybody looking for that, doesn't mean we can't go a little higher and start putting in divergence and whatever. But, we've had a pretty big move up for everything. I bring this range up. It could I guess a little better, but this box right here, right? So when we were talking about yesterday, this was the region that if you weren't picking up anything in this area, when we got the last pretty big expansion to the upside, everybody's getting really excited, expecting all-time highs once again. This was the area for fresh entries, right? So you had the point of control here, the overall value area high, you had the golden pocket, EQ of the range, and just pretty much a slew of things lined up right here. And 1221 would have been definitely the money spot to get in at. But either way, in this region, right, it's a pretty big box. There's like $100, 1220 or 1213 to 1313. This is the area that that we were looking for and waiting for. Obviously, we had levels to the downside if we start breaking, but this was the region, right? We spent a lot of time here, and this we talked about this yesterday, where you get a lot of consolidation times, and what you do not want to do is end up having to don't plan your moves, I suppose, in these times, because when we start getting these quick moves, and we literally just talked about this yesterday, everybody's going to start chasing this, right, and expecting that we're just going to miss an entry, or you're going to start FOMO shorting. Even people probably tried to short this all the way up. They probably tried to short Bitcoin all the way up yesterday, probably still are at the moment, which maybe you're going to actually get a good entry at this time. But in the group, we were cool, calm, collected. I mean, this is exactly what we were anticipating. We knew what levels to watch for. We were looking for 20,100 on Bitcoin. We were looking for this quarterly key level, right, for Ethereum, which has now been tapped. Zoom in a little bit here, but we got literally a perfect breakout. You got a nice retest. You actually had 2 touches on this yesterday. If you scrolled into like a 15-minute chart, right at 1459, and from now we're taking off still. So you're coming into that golden pocket that Magic just pointed out for Ethereum, I believe, or maybe he didn't, but coming into a little local golden pocket here. And for ETH, I'm gonna change this, but. For ETH, looking down, obviously, if we come back and start losing this quarterly this quarterly level here back at 1456, similar to Bitcoin, right? If we're just going to pull a little local golden pocket, almost takes us back down to where we were. Almost come back down and pretty much back test this little region right here. But realistically, if you start losing that quarterly key level, that's where I'd be looking down to for the short term. Similar to what Magic said, you might not get it, right? You might actually push up a little higher before you get a little pullback. So just something to be aware of, because most people probably are, either freaking out right now that they're missing, the price action, or they're trying to short the hell out of everything. So we might still have a little bit more upside to go. But just like Bitcoin, you do have 80 on the RSI on the 4 hours. So everything is pretty much tapped out, get into those overbought territories. We can stay up there for a minute, like we said. But aside from that, over in the mid to long term here, next days, weeks, we're still looking for these targets to the upside here, right? We got the untapped weekly. This is the next major one for me, coming in at 1768. You got a daily up there at 2054, which is pretty much where we tapped out back in August. And then we've got the untapped monthly overall value area high, golden pocket. So very similar, same exact levels we've been looking for. The downside, like I said, really losing that, like you want to hold on to that quarterly at 1460 for ETH. But pullbacks are, likely at this point, like we said, because we did have a pretty big move up recently. And what was that question popping in?
There you go. Lola's got a nice question. I personally don't buy into the ETH flipping Bitcoin narrative right now. I think they've been saying that a long time, though. Everybody that has a favorite altcoin says that. Ethereum is my second largest holding, though. So it's my second largest allocation. I think ETH is a great project. I think it's up there with Bitcoin as a mainstay in the sense that, like, there are very few secure things in this space that you can be like, hey, I'm going to put my money in this and I feel good about it. Like, it's not going to go to zero. Ethereum's in that boat. Not much else is, So as far as the ETH BTC chart goes, yeah, I watch it mainly because it gives you an indication on maybe, because Ethereum tends to be the one that leads the alts a little bit. So if ETH BTC is going off and Bitcoin dominance is coming down, but Bitcoin's not dumping and it's just going sideways maybe, or even still going up and sideways, up and to the right, it looks good. It's one of those things where that's an indicator that you can use to let yourself know that maybe it's a good time to get into some more, I wouldn't say speculative, but dive into alts a little bit. That's my take on it. What about you, CVO?
Yeah, no, that's what I've always used it for too. I mean, back in the day, you had to actually trade everything against BTC. Like 2017 time, there was no USD pairings. So now I guess, like, because we trade the US, or at least I do, this is when
I trade inverse perpetual as well.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, this is just what we chart because this is what we actually trade physically. We're looking for these exact levels generally on the exchanges that we're trading on as well. But yeah, I agree with Magic. I mean, we tend to look at that to see just kind of an indication on how the alts are going to maybe outperform. Another one is Bitcoin dominance, right? Like we look at that quite often as well. But as far as ETH flipping Bitcoin, yeah, I've never really been in a camp of that either. I think that if anything, they'll progress together. I mean, Bitcoin's market cap, I'm sure will continue raising as Ethereum does as well down the road. I don't necessarily know if we'll ever see a world where ETH just completely eats it up, but we'll see how it goes, I suppose. Twin is in the chat. My man, the myth, the legend, $500 trading account of 40%, created his own method in the group. Yeah, essentially his own strategies. He got like an 80% hit rate. I'm not sure if that's still holding up well, but guy's killing it in there. He's got the swing holding. Nicely done. Yep, anytime. So yeah, but right today is just going to be an interesting one to kind of keep paying attention. We're going to see if we're going to get that continuation to the upside. Like I said, I can almost imagine a lot are trying to look for some shorts right now, and we may get
short.
Yeah,
I'm short. I'm not gonna lie. I'm in a short.
Yeah.
But that's from 20,900. So it's already at take profit one. I've only got 15,000 contracts left on it. I'm just trying to write it down to potentially the daily point of control and take that second take profit and get out of the position altogether. But we'll see. If I get stopped out, doesn't matter. It'll be a winner regardless.
Right. Many others are, many don't trade that way, unfortunately, and people just enter shorts, no stop loss, and then they, assuming we're still going down to 10K from this moment, they'll get a little piece of a win because we'll drop down, whatever the case may be, but they won't take profit just to watch it all, get erased, tomorrow or the next day or what have you. If that's
most people, they just have to compartmentalize. Most people don't realize like 80% of my cash in capital, I should say, is either in cash or long-term positions. I'm not in like day trading with a ton of money. Like yesterday, I think the equity of the position was really only like $1,600 on that trade. So it wasn't like a ton of money that was in there. I was just using, I'm using high leverage because I'm scalping. It's 22x. So again, you have to have your risk management in place. So I knew that if I were to lose, I think yesterday I was working up like 2% or something, I was going to lose, 100 and some change. I think I lost like $120 when it was all said and done. And not the end of the world if you lose $120, right? So I managed to get 3 other wins after the loss. I came out $300 on the day, get in and get out of the market. And I'm long from, everybody knows I'm long sub 19K. And I didn't buy this last dip at 18,090. I even said it. I was like, I've already made my allocations for this range at the positions I wanted. I'm not buying anymore. I'm just waiting to see if I'm going to get to take profits on those eventually, or if I'm going to get basically pseudo stopped out. But I'm also hedged short from 40K. So this is where the long-term thing comes in, where it's giving me the flexibility to not really care what price does, because I'm hedged short all the way from 40K. So if price comes down to 10K, I'm going to make even more money. That's fine by me. I'm in a leveraged position at a really nice spot. So there is a nuance to, portfolio management that can give you guys the freedom to day trade a little bit and just keep the long-term plays when you get them in the back of your mind going, okay, this is where I'm going to make a huge chunk of money. Like if I can make daily money in between, great. If I can make, big chunks though on less risky positions, that's the goal. So you just have to figure out what strategy works best for you, because not everybody has the time to day trade. It can be difficult. It can be consuming, so to speak.
Very much so. Yeah, you're living the dream, man. You got you're stress free essentially, pretty much, at least at the moment. Long near the local low, and then you got short from not the high by any means, but a damn good high compared to where we are. So that is definitely the goal. And then intermediate intradays in the middle, and then you got the long term portfolio, and that's really what it's all about. And well managed. Yeah, fun fact too, Magic and I took the same short at 39K, but I was over leveraged and chickened out and at 200% gains, which was great. But because I was too over leveraged and my risk management was not what it should have been, I was nervous to lose what I put in there or lose my gains and blah blah blah. And instead of just putting a TP and stop loss and profit and things I should have done, I was like, I'm just gonna get out. This is a great win, whatever. And now Magic's up like 15x and I'm scrounging, but neither here nor there.
I saw your post in the group this morning, man. I saw you posting some money shots, taking some profits on, it looks like some good Bitcoin longs and Ethereum longs. Was that 172%, 185, 61% on near? Yeah,
near.
That didn't sound like you're hurting too bad.
Yeah. No, what's funny is that I've taken the same trade on Bitcoin 3 times at 18,600, whatever that one's at, because I just each time it got down to there, I just picked it up again, and just been running it. So hopefully we'll see how long this one goes. Already took profits, already took some off the table. We got stop loss and profit. So if it comes back down there again, get stopped out in profit, and I'll just scoop it up again one more. But so ETH looking same levels, really. I mean, it's always a fun time. The market is always a little bit more of a good time, and when people are making money, and even though you can make money on the way down, most don't. So when the market is going back up or just moving up or just not moving down, it seems to be a little bit more joyous across the board for most. So one thing just to kind of point out is just keep your head straight, because we've been in the same position, several times already. It's really just comes down to your strategy, knowing your levels and having your invalidations and your confirmations basically lined up. Like I said yesterday, nobody in our group, I hope at this point, is struggling or stressing about, what prices, or why the price moved the way it is, where we're at, just kind of how Magic was just saying, this probably isn't the best time it's not the best time to be looking for longs, right? Like at this exact moment as we're running into straight resistance. But what's the thing that's going to change that, right? That's the level you need to be keeping in mind. You flip that resistance and then, it's a different story. So for me, ETH still looking up towards these targets here, pull back, possibly back to the quarterly key, back to like 1460 is, in the cards. Like I said, local golden pocket would actually even take us back down, maybe come back and back test some of these highs right here, even back to 1386. Still nothing's broken, similar to, what we're looking at with Bitcoin. And if anything, if anybody's getting in some deep shorts right now, they'd be feeling pretty good. whereas they probably wouldn't take profit at these regions, and they could possibly just give it all right back up on the next move up. So just something to keep in mind there, but we'll see how it goes. Otherwise, it's been a nice day for ETH, Bitcoin, and the whole market as a whole. We're going to move on to HBAR for my friend OC Pet Doctor. I'm sure he's in here, and if he's not, he'll be watching later. Is HBAR the what's it called with like Quant and XRP? What's that little group of them called? The iOS 2022 or something?
Yeah. The ISO compliant coins that are going to take over the financial system, allegedly.
ISO, that's it. You nailed XRP, you nailed Quant, man. We need you. We need the power bottom to come in for HBAR. All right, HBAR got a little range within a range. Just kind of pointing that out here. If you take this off, so at the moment we're coming into the point of control of the previous quarter. So just kind of want to point that out. Basically running into straight resistance at the moment. However, clear that and we're looking up, right? So just kind of taking this a bigger scale here, deviated the range, basically came back in, back tested it, exactly what you want to see. We call this the easiest trade in the world. Got a clear invalidation just below for your stop loss. Once again, don't even need leverage. This is clear. You could do spot trades if you don't want to set straight stop outs, because they're a little different than in a leverage position, because you have to kind of like put where you're going to stop, and you have to sell it like even sooner than that, which is kind of annoying. But put alerts in this region so you can kind of at least know what's going on when you get down to these areas, and you can decide what you want to do as far as the spot would go. From here, though, looking up towards this monthly key level, right? And that's a pretty big gap here, but pretty decent move. I think it can be had here. Got a couple untapped horizontals across the board here. Point of control, big one all the way up here. And once again, this is not saying we'd get there overnight, but if the market does continue onward and upward for a few weeks here, we could see things like HBAR, a couple of these other altcoins that have gotten beaten down 98%. To push up 100% plus is going to be not even getting them back to where they were, right? So short term could be some really big opportunities, but don't disregard these areas right here. So pretty simple for me. I mean, we're at the lows. You got pretty decent area to consider for stop loss, or to consider if we come back to these levels to if you want to pick anything up in this region. And then, you got some nice levels across the board here, basically at 8, 9 cents, 11 cents, 12 cents, 13 cents, which was a big area as we came down. If you recall that from a couple of weeks or months ago, back when we were like 39K, we were looking for 13 cents. So that coming back up to it, and that being the overall value area high from this range here, would probably offer up a really, really big take profit if we get back there. It'd be like an over 100% move if so. CRV was a request from somebody in the public chat in the Discord server. So CRV DeFi project got a lot of exposure last year, and for me, right, touched on CRV quite a bit a couple weeks back. Haven't really been super focused on it recently, but these levels here, I posted this chart once again, basically when we came down to the lows back in June, pretty much updated across the board for everything. And got the bounce, ran it up, came back down, got the back test of the point of control here. From here, looking up towards this untapped quarterly, we've got a golden pocket right here at about $1.25. And then really just, still looking for these higher levels up here. Coming back down and losing the point of control would not be a good sign. It's about 71 cents. At that point, I would imagine we're coming back down to the lows, maybe lower at that point. So overall value area high is the macro from high to low golden pocket as well. So big take profit area if we come up to this region, which once again, this would all imply Bitcoin's going to push higher, right? Like Ethereum's pushing higher, the market's pushing higher. And it's one of those times where everybody's going to ask, and when you always wonder, I think Debate Crypto asked you last time, Magic, it's like, when do you take profit, or when do you do this, do that? You might miss more, I guess, but, identifying the areas that are going to be most likely to, exude resistances and things of that nature is what you want to be paying attention for. So to me, if we had 213 on CRV, that's a big take profit area. And then once again, without any leverage, if you picked up at that point of control, even which is a little bit of a diddle in the middle, but possible 200% move, right? So no leverage, no leverage sweats, no stress.
Anyway.
What's that?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Haven't reached that.
The old leverage
Any
sweats.
updates on BitBoy, by the way? I don't have any updates on BitBoy. I just thought that meme was hilarious. Or it wasn't a meme. It was that message that Greg had sent him about.
He snapped back pretty well though, actually.
Yeah, I mean it's just a joke. That's a pretty harmless joke. He does it. That guy. If you don't follow that account, I've been following that account for like over a year. He's done it to so many famous people. People way more famous than BitBoy. Like famous rappers like Ludacris and stuff like that. So it was.
Yeah, he's gotten like Elon Musk to respond to him a few times or something too. I know that some of them are fake, but I think that one of them was real. Like it's interesting to see stuff like that. Yeah, and it's just like a random like don't even know who it is, a meme account.
There's a lot of those on Twitter. What cracks me up about Twitter is that there's a lot of like insanely like model-esque hot crypto influencers, but they're all just dudes LARPing around with a hot chick as their profile to get more followers. And one of the biggest ones just came out and they're like, I can't believe you guys didn't know this was a guy the whole time. He's got like 300,000 followers or something. I think it goes by wifey or something like that. And anyone that's been in the space a while, everybody knows that's a dude that's been in the space a while, but all the newbies that have entered the space in this last market run.
Yeah, they're probably confused as hell.
Yeah.
I know. I see the same thing. Like Trader SZ and all those guys always messing with him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So question. Do you mind going through your short methodology? Do you use lower? Let me pop this one up. Do you use lower leverage when it comes to shorts or same percent? Sorry, not sure if you cover this in the academy.
I think she's talking about risk. And it is the first video we talk about risk management because at the end of the day, trading, at least trading both on the high time frames and low time frames, there's always a risk and there's more risk involved in the low time frames because you're always in the market. You're in the market more. You're not always in the market, but you're in the market more. So there's more risk. So you have to work up the risk percentage, meaning that where's my stop loss at? What is the amount of that capital I'm willing to lose? Is it 1%, 2%, 3%? It should be closer to 1 for anyone that's just beginning and doesn't have a verifiable win rate. Like then if you're not using 1%, you're probably going to get wrecked. So yeah, 1%, basically 2%, 3%. You're keeping your losses small. That's what we mean by that. When people say keep your losses small. So if we take a short, like I took one earlier, I already locked in profits because I was just looking to get down to, it was like a 10% gain for me on that position, lock in about 70% of that position, and then put stop loss at break even, which was 20,900. Price has already come up and taken that high. I'm out of that position, but I made money. So that's the goal, is how can I extract money daily without losing a lot of money when I'm wrong? Because I'm going to be wrong. Everyone's going to be wrong. It's part of trading. Like nobody's perfect. So just bear that in mind. That's what I mean by that. I think that's answering your question, but as I said, just hit me up in the classroom, in the group, and we'll go through it and be fine.
Money. So yesterday I was going to I think it'll sound really weird if we bring up yesterday's video on here, but we were talking about Cardano. There was a request yesterday in the video stream, and, we were living down literally in this region. And at the time, we've lost this range. Like, we could pull up some areas right here. We were identifying that we were pretty much in the major support zone from the past. If you were looking at any kind of support that Cardano has, this was pretty much the last level before you dump down to like 13 cents. But for, anybody that was looking to enter new, if you're looking for some confirmation, a little bit more of a safer play, you'd really want to get back inside this range, right at 41 cents. And at the time, before we had a really nice move out of the market yesterday, it's always like, it's almost like you could never see, not never, but you wouldn't expect the price to get there so quick. Literally drew this arrow yesterday being like, we get really quick moves all the time where we shoot back into the range, basically come back down, back test, and they start running. The other thing was you didn't want to see what we are having right now, where you get a run back, you're getting a bearish back test at the moment of that range, getting rejection. So you still are kind of in a position where you kind of want to wait, especially if you haven't entered, before now, because we might get another pullback here in a moment if the market pulls back. But if we don't, you really just want to see that 41.5 cents reclaimed. So broke back in here. You'd really want to see the back test here. 4-hour candle close is, generally something you'd want to see. You have an area to start putting your stop loss below and this and that. But it's interesting to note that we literally, we were just talking about this, exact idea where you just get these really quick moves, and is exactly what we got yesterday. So still waiting though for 41.5 cents if you're like just completely out. Discussed how, this was our low and this was where your stop loss would have been being inside the range previously, and you would have protected yourself from all this chop. And I bring that up because if you were holding a position, especially in a leverage trade, you more than likely would have got stopped out with any sort of leverage, because this was a pretty decent drop, right? This was like 15% or 20%. So yeah, I mean, unless you had like 2x, you would have been basically liquidated if you didn't have a stop loss. But we could go lower, and you don't know that at the time. So now for to confirm that we're going to continue onward and upward here, you would essentially be rebuying where you already sold at. You wouldn't lose anything. Yeah, you would have missed out on this. You could have shorted here, or you could have long there, yada, yada. I knew I'd slip one in. But it's like a nervous tick, man.
Dude,
it's
I told you.
It's just there. I don't even notice it. But yeah, so
okay.
That's Cardano. So what are you going to say?
I was just reading Lola's question. Not to interrupt, are you finished with Cardano before I start in on that? Her success rate on longs, are better than shorts. And there are situations where I will tell you that you'll find that you're either better at shorting or longing. I'm actually really good at shorting. I spot tops very well. I do spot macro bottoms very well, as CBO has alluded to. But for me, it's all the same trade. I'm using the same type of techniques for my shorts as I use for my longs. I'm looking for invalidation most of the time. And if I can get invalidation and I have clear targets and I have a trigger to enter the short, which for the order flow is sometimes there. For me, I was just looking at this first test of the Q4 at 20,904. I wanted to get that reaction. I knew I was going to get one. So I did do the cardinal sin where I just basically put a 1% stop loss above it and position sized accordingly based on that, knowing that my stop loss was going to be 1% away. Cause I was like, this is statistically a good trade. I haven't seen it yet. I'm only going to lose, 2 or 3% of my account, or this trading account, I guess, if I lose, and I'm just going to go ahead and do it. So I just went ahead and did it. It worked out. I got TP1, stopped out on the second one at break even, because you move the stop loss up, and you're good to go, because it was more meant to be a day trade, not a swing trade. If that was a swing trade I had done that on, I may not have moved my stop loss up. I may have just left it where it is. But in this case, I'm just trying to minimize risk throughout the day, and then look for potential entries. Like you just swung fail that previous high, right? So would be one of those scenarios where you'd start looking at it going, is this a good place to be looking for an entry? So again, it just comes down to practicing the tools, practicing what setups work best for you, which ones you're most comfortable with. Are they SFPs? Are they delta switch ups in the order flow? There's even a video on order flow and how to spot an SFP in the order flow. Max did a really good job on that one. That was a very highly requested video. So he did do that. There's a lot of different ways. You have to find out what works for you. Like Twin's got his strategy. I like to use volume charts and stacked imbalances, right here is here's a really decent way to look at this. Let me share my screen real quick, and we'll talk a little bit about this right here. So as you're coming up to the high, we know that we're in the macro gold pocket, right? So we know that we've come up into, so I was looking at ETH. We know we've come up into this. Technically, the target's the 6.5 for this harmonic, but we know that we're hitting the 618 at 20,976. You've got this level here. So you got a zone of resistance. So you're kind of keeping your head on a swivel, knowing that you're going to get a trade out of it more than likely. You don't want to just take every trade, but up here you can see you've come up here on pretty, decent high delta. It's coming in really, really fast, right? And then you can see right here, sellers are entering 85%, 75%. You've got selling imbalance 1, 2, you come back up, test the selling imbalance, and then stacked imbalances right here, and down it goes. And it's actually putting in bearish divergence as it goes. So you can see you're making a higher high on delta on this last local high above the previous day, or the daily value area high, and you're making lower highs in price. So you're actually, if this doesn't push, is going to have negative bearish divergences. So you're watching to see, is the move supported by OI? It certainly looks like it is. You can see right here, you've got pretty flat OI here on some fast candles, and then it's opening up with lots of buyers, but you still have negative delta coming in. So these guys could get squeezed if they're being a little too aggressive right here at the support. The key is going to be basically taking out that local high, right? So if you were looking at this in terms of a long, that would be your hopium. You'd want to see buying imbalances coming in from this level. If you were in the short, you've already taken profits here. This is your take profit one. You know, is that a big move? It's from 21,000 down to 20,879. So $111 or about 0.5%, depending on how you were doing it. You know, you weren't trying to time the exact top. You were looking for this one right here specifically. You got the stacked imbalances. You got about a $75 to $100 move down. You could take profit one, then the rest is going to be ran for me until the daily point of control or the 12M1 at 20,688, stop loss at entry. And that's how you mitigate the risk. You know, you don't want to turn it into a loser if it's a winner. So I hope that helps. That's kind of a general walkthrough on the trade, like how you would enter, why you would enter. And then it just comes down to, if you're not comfortable shorting, you know, do like $1, grab $1 and start taking short trades and tracking only short trades with $1 risk every time. Every time you're just taking a $1 trade until you feel you're proficient and your win rate's, you know, acceptable. That would be a way that you could do that, right? That'd be my only advice. It does come with a little bit of experience. That is going to be important. Experience is always going to be something that you need to have. Nobody just comes into the market and is an expert day one. Like, you have to think that you're competing against other people, you know, robots, hedge funds, whatever you want to call it. You're also competing against retail traders like myself, CVO, like yourself. And it's one of those where if we've been doing this since 2018 and you've only been doing this since 2022, you're going to lose money to the person that's probably been doing it longer, most likely. That guy's probably going to have more experience. He's probably going to have better tactics, you know, a little bit better, you know, capital management, maybe. Yeah. So it is one of those where it takes time, and don't be discouraged. That's why we really, really emphasize that you have to understand it is a numbers game. It takes a long time to build a big portfolio, depending on how you're starting out. And that's okay, because that's, you need consistency. Just because you have a lot of money doesn't make you a smart trader. There's a lot of dumb large accounts out there that, like, either they just came into the market with a lot of money and they're just throwing it in there, or maybe they were up in the last bull run because they were like, oh, I'm a genius. I got in when Bitcoin was popping off and now it's time to trade. And this is not the same environment, you know? So they don't have a working strategy or a system. Yeah, XO charts is super helpful. One of my favorite things to look at actually is XO. ATAS is a really good platform. Very good platforms. You know, you got to become proficient in them. You know, Max has probably got the most time in on XO charts that I know of. He's really put, like, it got to the point where I'm pretty sure he was only looking at XO to take trades.
He wouldn't even, he wouldn't even look at like a chart.
Yeah, he wasn't even looking at charts really. I mean, he kind of was, but not really. And I think you got to do both though. You have to identify where the best opportunities are and where the structure is. And if you can do that, you know, you combine that with XO, that's where it really comes in. That's where things get, I wouldn't say juicy, but that's where things can start to compound for you quickly. Your win rate goes up as long as you're following risk management. You know, it's a numbers game, so that when you do lose, like even if you have an 80% win rate, which is, you know, that's high, you're still going to lose 20 out of 100 trades. You can't lose your ass on 20 trades. You got to keep it small. And then those 80 winners are going to keep you afloat and grow your capital over time. Right. So it's the only way I'll put it.
It's a big one too, man, is like, you know, if you're the trading aspect has changed so much with crypto, because years ago, you really didn't see a lot of like leverage trading. And if it was only Bitcoin and Ethereum, which maybe it was even only Bitcoin. I don't think you could do Ethereum back then. But now you could do all these altcoins, and the altcoins are just so much more attractive to everyone. But in reality, you just do not need leverage with them. I mean, you can in the intraday, you can, if you're, you know, if you really know what you're looking for, especially on the days when we're just consolidating and trading sideways, you know, as everybody likes to point out. But for the most part, you know, if you're looking at like some of these, like even just yesterday, I mean, like, you know, a 1% pullback on an altcoin, right, which is a lot on Bitcoin, but on an altcoin, that's nothing. And if you're on 10x leverage you got to think to yourself, if you're actually going to put a stop loss, which most aren't, but if you're going to, you're going to lose 10% on a 1% pullback, which a 1% pullback is almost expected at times. And it's like you go short and people are only used to really buying, because you're buying and holding is like the first thing you kind of do when you come into any kind of market. You just buy something and you wait for it to go up or whatever. So the short aspect is a mental game that like Magic had said, like you really do have to train yourself a little bit, because the other thing is, as well, as depends on what you're trading, because if you're emotionally attached to that asset as well, it's hard for you to imagine it, with the news catalysts that are around you or stuff that they're working on or whatever the case is, like that gets in your mind, and you can't, like, people can't fathom that this price action is going to, turn around on them or whatever. Even like day like today, where we're just shooting straight up, there's probably some people that are just only going to be longing and probably coming in right now with fresh longs. And,
it's okay if you have, like I said, it's okay if you have a stop loss and it's your account management's under thing, and you're like, I'm just going to long this till the trend is over. That's, technically that's a strategy. And if it's a strong trend, you'll make money, but eventually you're going to be wrong, as you're alluding to. And you're at a point where it's like, okay, I know the risk is high up here. So if you don't have a proper risk management stop loss strategy in place, yeah, you're going to get fucking wrecked, man. Like it's not great.
Yeah. So, and even like one thing in the group too that I always, put out there is that, there's new people coming in. I got a guy in there that's doing really good. He's like crushed like 4 or 5 trades, but I see his leverage on these alts are like 25x. So I'm just like, man, that's a great trade. But, that 6th, 7th one, you might start trying to take here in another day or two, things will start changing and we'll see some pullbacks. And like, if you're not really prepared for that, like, as long as you're not throwing your whole account, at these things, like it really does come down to that. And yeah, you could go no stop loss. If you're just the same thing like Magic said, he lost $120 or whatever it was the other day. Maybe you're just going to throw $120 at the market and just long it whatever amount. And then, if you get liquidated, you're out that 120. The issue is a lot of people don't do that. And it's really all about like thinking that we're at the low, we're going back to 50K and I'm going to 10X long my entire savings account. And I'm going to, make everything back. And that's something you really don't want to be in. So, yeah, that's our TED Talk for today. So Solana has been one that we've been, really, really, the thing about Solana for me, and I brought this up last 2 days or 3 days since we've been on here, but, I really like to pay attention to the coins that get a lot of bad news. And, I think a really good example, I can't even think of what the news may have been, but Quant, right? Everybody really shit on Quant down at $40. And even before that, even coming down into that region, you're talking about something that ran from wherever it was to almost $400. Solana, had a very similar run, right? We were at $1. Like this was probably one of my first, major wins for the trading group back in like 2020. December 1st, I remember putting out the chart on Solana. It was $1. And from there, we ran it to $300 and, I had some stopping points along the way, but this thing ran, and it was even less than that, months before that or year before that. But even just from 2020 December to 2021, it was 1 year, this thing 300x, right? Comes all the way back down. These are, the power bottom over here, identified these levels months in advance. Obviously it was, a journey to get there. But one thing I noticed as we're coming down and as we're at these levels now, you got bad news. You got all these hacks going on and all these things. Similar things have happened to Ethereum and other things. And, all cryptos are a risk at this point, at any point, even Bitcoin, right? It could technically, I guess, disappear, go to zero, whatever you want to say. So all that is, something to be aware of. But Solana, to me, I don't necessarily think is going to go anywhere. Could I be wrong on that? For sure. But I'm definitely I'm definitely going to be putting on risk, I guess, into something like this for personally. And we came into the lows, negative news. You got, Bitcoin's at the low as well. You got everything kind of aligning up pretty well. And, you got this push yesterday. So one thing I did want to point out that as we were coming out into the lows, Magic actually pointed this out to me yesterday. As far as a harmonic would go, we had a bullish shark that basically completed here as well, right? So another thing, just kind of putting into a sense of confluence, not necessarily just going off of this alone, but Just something else to kind of add to the toolkit there. We got the push up after the majority of the market yesterday, obviously. Right now, we're living back above this red line right here is our quarterly VWAP. So at the moment, obviously, we can, we've lost it and kind of recovered it and lost it and recovered it. But since basically August 18th, we have not lived back above this VWAP for more than a few, 4-hour candles. So one thing to note there. Shout out to the higher level coming into this monthly. We got this monthly that's obviously proposed a decent area of support and resistance along the way. Clearing this for me would allow us, I think, to come up and take out this untapped quarterly key level. It's a pretty good, decent area as well for the shark. And you've also got the point of control, your golden pocket. So all this whole area right here is what we were looking at anyways yesterday. So for Solana, that'd be where I'd be looking to take it up to. Once again, we were living down in this region yesterday, even without any leverage. This is 20, 30, 40, 50%. I think it's about 100% up towards this, the overall range high. So I'm looking to take Solana on a date all the way up to maybe $55 if she'll let me. Aside from that, what else do we got, Magic?
Not much, man.
Magic's been talking for like 6 hours this morning already.
Yeah, I've been up since like 5. But I went live at 7 for the New York session, and then we saw the open. It's just another day, of trading. I know that there's more volatility now, which actually makes for better trading. But you got to think that we are coming up into a little bit of resistance here on SPX, in my opinion. So, we're getting pretty close to that blue box. We've almost touched it. So one would think we're going to see it. And when we do, the question is what happens? Do we get the pullback? Because 38.7950 is the gold pocket, and you're at 38.7425. So a solid $5.25 away at the high of the day. So we'll see what happens when or if price gets there. I believe it probably would be a matter of when at this point. One would think when, but we'll see.
Got some pretty big news coming up next week, along with some fib time that's kind of correlated to that, era as well. So be pretty interesting. We're going to have a couple of guests on our show, probably starting Friday. Next Tuesday, I think we're going to have Garrett Soloway on here basically the day before the Fed meeting. So that'll be a fun one, and a couple of other creators as well. So just kind of bringing in some diversity, maybe some more fundamentals. That's something that, we do kind of pay attention for and bring in, but there's definitely some people like TA Tim, like he the way he can, put out the fundamentals for you is just, it's a good time. So it's nice to pair those up with everybody. But aside from that, what's that, Magic?
Those are great guys. Like Gareth is really nice because I've met a lot of influencers, and so have you, CVO. One of the most like down home people you'll ever meet. Not cocky at all, anything like that. He's knowledgeable, good dude. And then TA Tim I'm a big fan of TA Tim.
Yeah.
He had us on Coffee and Crypto right when we first I started going on Debate Crypto. Actually, CVO had been doing it like all year. And he's a really great guy, and he's learned so much so quick. He's very good at like the fundamentals and the new stuff as well. He's really kind of taken that, underneath his tutelage or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, he's done Bill Noble, awesome, great dude. Yeah, Bill's legit.
Yeah, he's going total Bill Tard right now. I hope.
I bet he is, man. He's going total Bill Tard. It's my favorite saying of the entire market, Bill Tard, because it 100% is a thing.
It is.
But will we be having BitBoy? Probably not. I don't think we're big enough for BitBoy to want to come on our show anyway. I don't think that we're a good fit for him. I don't imagine. Does he go on shows, or does he just host? Like, I know he's got like such a large platform. It almost doesn't make sense for him to go on a place.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get Richard Hart on here. We'll get big. We'll get Richard Hart on here. Talk some smack.
We'll get matching Gucci V-necks, and
I'll get him and Andrew Tate together. It'll be fine. It'll be the greatest.
Man. Andrew Tate and Max, I think.
YouTube channel.
They're neighbors, right? Like over in Dubai.
Yeah, they both live in Dubai now.
Max could just probably have him come into his room and put him on the show.
Who's Jason Casper?
Jason Casper.
Richard
Yeah,
Hart versus Richard
funny.
Cheese. Let's go. Yeah, you guys know who Richard Cheese is. That's me. There can only be one Richard, man. I'm the big Richard, so yeah, that's it.
Oh man.
Jason Casper. I'll look into Jason. I don't know anything about him, so if you want to like.
Oh, you'll like Jason Casper, man. He's hilarious. He's like a farmer, but like he's like he's a unique one for sure. And he kind of mixes in, the way that we kind of look at the market mixed with he's unique. He's a good one, I think, actually, and he's hilarious. I think he came up with the flattened butt cheeks, or the uneven butt cheeks, is like a pattern that he identified in the market.
I'm in. Anyone that's unique. I'd like to have on some people that I met. Naib on the same time with Peter. That'd be very interesting. I'll probably get on some guys that are more traditional market focused. I'll probably invite on Trade Invest Simplify, Kenneth Suna. Really great guy that I met on TikTok. Can't say enough good things about him. Probably have the debate boys on here to talk NFTs, since we don't do any of that stuff. We will try to mix up the content a little bit for you guys, so it's not all just straight up, computer talk, basically, about levels and trades. Toro's Crypto, I probably won't. I know the guy. I'm definitely not going to. Nothing personal, but probably won't.
Nice.
Got an hour drive. Enjoy your drive, T-Bone. Drive safe. But and then Alpha day trading. I don't know if you mentioned him earlier, but obviously he's Alpha a great one to have on. Yeah, Josh. Yeah, Josh is another good one. Yeah, he's one of the few legit people that I know of that trades live as well. And he like built his own platform, but he trades like stocks. He's like a stock trader. Very interesting. He does a little bit more traditional strategies, but really great guy. So we're trying to bring on people that we know are legit. Maybe I'll get on if we get a few more views as the channel grows, we'll bring on some of the guys from Faceless Mini. I don't know if you guys follow them or not. Really great guys as well. We'll have lots of guests. I don't know that we'll do it too often, maybe like 1 or 2 a week at the most.
Yeah. But we will have Max on here too, starting next week.
Yeah, Max is a guest as always. He's barely old enough to drink and drive, but not at the same time, of course. But we'll have him on. Yeah. We had to wait till he was 18 so he could show his face on here, just for safety purposes. And he's finally of age, so we're gonna bring him on. But that's all I've got, man. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep throwing out really shitty jokes.
They're the best.
Me off.
Yep, that's it. Awesome. Well, everybody have a great afternoon. For anybody that's in the group or anybody that's looking to join the group, we do have the Leading Crypto Discord server. Information on how to join that is in the information here on YouTube. Every Wednesday and Sunday night, we host our members-only market update, so we'll have exclusive content just for the members in there this evening, actually, Wednesday, so 9:30, 9:45-ish Eastern. And you'll have access to all of our analysis updates, all of our Academy videos. We have a slew of books, actually, that all come included with the membership as well. So if you're interested, link is in the description below. Otherwise, we'll see everybody bright and early tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern here on the Morning Hash. I was like the Morning Toast for some reason. Take care, everyone. Have a great day.